Joe, how often do you think about killing the Andersons?
Some trials go down in history, not just because of the crimes themselves, but because of the wild and unforgettable reactions from the people on trial. From cold, calculated stares to full-on emotional breakdowns, these courtroom moments reveal just how dark human nature can get. Today, we're diving into the intense and sometimes shocking reactions of dangerous criminals getting hit with life sentences. So go ahead, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's jump right into it. The younger the defendant, the more years they'll likely spend behind bars, especially if we're talking about the harshest sentence out there, life without parole. That's exactly what happened to Damon Kemp. He was just 19 when he was convicted in 2018 for the brutal double murder of two of his friends, both around his age. The case sent shockwaves through Daytona Beach, especially since one of the victims was a well-known student athlete, recognized as one of the area's top boxers. And when Damon walked into the courtroom, knowing damn well he wasn't about to get just a few years but an entire lifetime behind bars, his reaction was something no one in that courtroom was expecting.
God! 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 God!
Maybe, just maybe, he should have turned to God before he decided to end two innocent lives. Because in the end, nothing stopped the judge from handing down exactly the sentence he feared the most. Nicholas Cruz was 20 years old in 2018 when he carried out one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history. The massacre in a Florida high school left 17 people dead, 14 students and 3 staff members. The crime was so horrific that there wasn't even a debate about whether he deserved prison. Everyone knew he was never walking free again. The only thing left to decide was life behind bars or the death penalty. He already knew he was done for, but things got intense when prosecutors played the actual audio from the shooting. That's when Nicholas, who had just sat there blank-faced, suddenly covered his ears, refusing to listen to what he'd done. Despite public outrage and the victims' families pushing for execution, the jury sentenced him to life in prison. That decision sparked major backlash from families who believed the only fitting punishment was death. Timothy Jones Jr. committed one of the most heartless and disturbing crimes ever seen in the US, a case that horrified the nation. Back in 2014, this guy killed all 5 of his children with his bare hands after one of them stuck a finger in an electrical outlet. Enraged, he completely snapped and attacked them. After spending 3 years in jail, as the trial dragged on, he finally got the maximum sentence. And when the verdict dropped, there was nothing left for him to do but cry.
What did you tell us earlier? So Natan was dead, and then what happened?
And I followed suit with the other 4.
But what really shocked people was that his ex-wife, mother of the children, actually asked the judge not to sentence him to death. At first, it sounded like she was defending him, until she explained she wanted him to rot in prison, saying if it were up to her, she'd fry him herself. Bryce Rhodes went on a violent spree in 2016. First, he shot and killed a 40-year-old man. Just 2 weeks later, along with 2 friends, he brutally attacked 2 teenage brothers, 14 and 16 years old, who later died from their injuries. After months of investigation, one of Bryce's accomplices confessed and pointed him out as the one who killed the boys, sharing every gruesome detail. While the other 2 were sentenced to several years in prison, Bryce got life without parole, not just for the crimes, but for his behavior during trial. This dude literally threatened the judge, saying he'd find out where she lived. She had no choice but to throw the book at him.
He's like, "How will you live at? What you find at? Out of there."
He constantly cursed at the judge in court, and when his lawyer tried to appeal the sentence, Bryce mocked the victim's mom with zero remorse. At least now we know this guy won't ever be free again, and honestly, the world's better off that way.
But then another part of it is, if we have a concern what's the alternative, because the pros and the cons. Ma'am? Stop it. Look at me. Ma'am!
In 2013, Conrad Schaefer was only 15 years old when he and some friends went on a shooting spree through a Florida neighborhood. Just for fun, most bullets hit windows, doors, and walls. But one tragically struck and killed a 17-year-old kid on his way to the bus stop. Just 2 days later, Conrad and 3 others shot at another young man. Once he admitted to being the one who fired the gun in both incidents, the court began preparing a 40-year sentence. But at the very last moment, the judge changed course and hit him with life in prison instead. Conrad broke down crying and apologized to the victims' families, admitting that nothing could undo the pain he caused. Back in 2007, Neil Simpson walked into a pizza joint and unloaded his gun at the owner, killing the man on the spot. It wasn't until 2010 that he finally faced sentencing, and yep, he got life. But let's just say, Neil didn't exactly take the news like a gentleman. Dude straight up spat toward the jury box. The courtroom was stunned. The trial had to be paused right there. And when they brought him back in, he was gagged and had cloth wrapped around his mouth and head, so he couldn't pull the same stunt again. His defense team tried to get the whole trial thrown out because of how things played out, but the judge wasn't having it. The life sentence stood. That courtroom saw just how much rage this guy was still carrying, and honestly, the spit said it all. Wade Wilson had tattoos all over him, but one in particular made it real clear that he wasn't someone you'd want to mess with. And in 2019, he proved just how dangerous he was. He met a woman at a bar, and later that night, he killed her, stole her car, and drove off to his ex-girlfriend's place. When he got there, he tried to assault her too, but thankfully she fought back and got away before things got worse. Still not done, later that same day, he approached another woman on the street asking for directions. He got her into the car, and she became his second victim. These 3 horrific crimes earned Wade a life sentence. But this guy, zero remorse, not a flicker of regret in his eyes.
The totality of the circumstances warrants that the defendant, Wade Stephen Wilson, be sentenced to death for each count first-degree murder.
Back in 1990, Joseph Zeeler was locked up for the murders of 11-year-old Robin Cornell and her 32-year-old babysitter Lisa Story, but he always denied it. For 33 years, now 61, he tried to pull one last wild excuse, claiming his DNA was in the house because he had been hooking up with the girl's mom and that she just didn't clean properly. That jaw-dropping statement stunned everyone in the courtroom. When the judge finally sentenced him to death, Joseph clearly wasn't thrilled. He turned to talk to his lawyer, and out of nowhere, elbowed the man defending him, and the lawyer, totally unfazed. He joked, "I used to box. I've taken way harder hits than that."
I used to box. I've taken a lot better shots than that.
Zeeler knew his time was up and just couldn't handle the reality of what was coming next, the lethal injection. In 2007, Joseph McEnroe committed a horrifying mass murder, taking out 6 members of his girlfriend's family in one night. We're talking her parents, her brother, her sister-in-law, and even their little kids. All of them gone. He claimed the family had looked down on him for years, and this was his twisted way of retaliating. Naturally, the jury was torn between giving him life or the death penalty. During trial, Joseph looked like a wreck. He couldn't even bring himself to talk about what he did. Multiple times, the judge had to pause the proceedings so he could calm down. In the end, the jury couldn't unanimously agree on execution, so his life was spared, but only to rot in prison forever. In 2021, during a Christmas parade in Wisconsin, Darrell Brooks, 39, drove his SUV straight into the crowd, injuring dozens and killing 6 people. The whole thing was ruled as an intentional act, and Brooks racked up more than 70 charges. He kept claiming he didn't know why he did it and blamed it on mental illness. But when the judge read out that 4 separate psych evaluations showed no signs of mental disorders, Brooks lost it. He got visibly angry and started arguing.
Like, I don't even want to be in here that much longer. Just do what you got to do so I can get up out of here. I'm tired of being in the courtroom that has no integrity. How can you even call yourself a judge?
Didn't do him any favors. He ended up getting life in prison, plus another 700 years just for good measure. Basically, not even his ashes are getting out of prison. Tobias Roman got arrested after trying to rob a mall employee. When the cops pulled his record, they found out he was also wanted for stalking one woman and threatening another with death. That alone would have landed him serious jail time, but this guy, he wanted more. And look, I've never been to jail, but I'm pretty sure the one person you don't threaten is the judge holding your future in their hands. Still, he decided to run his mouth and threaten the court anyway. His main sentence is still being determined, but that little outburst? Yeah, that just earned him an extra 7 months on top of whatever's coming. Some guys get long sentences for brutal crimes. Others, like Tobias, get extra time just for being straight up dumb. In 2017, Joseph McCaffin killed a couple who owned a car dealership and even their family dog during a robbery gone horribly wrong. He was sentenced to death not just because of what he did, but because of how cold and calculated it all was. And what freaked people out the most was how he reacted to the sentencing. You'd think he'd at least flinch, break down, show some kind of emotion, but nope, he just sat there like he was renewing a driver's license. Calm, dead-eyed, unbothered. That same coldness he showed during the crime was still there at the end. It's the perfect example of when someone's so far gone, nothing phases them anymore.
The court's going to impose a sentence of death.
Thanks for sticking around till the end. Don't forget to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one.